Hello friends, neighbors, John, your whiskey neighbor here. Welcome down the Nook, and it's Sunday. Finally, I'm going to shoot some samples, but these are gift samples. James got me this gift. He was on a trip and thought of me, and I think, you know, these sample bottles make just an excellent gift idea for heading into Christmas time for anybody who loves whiskey. Why? Because they give you a variety of things. Right here we've got the 12-year-old Loch Lomond, we've got the Madeira finished Loch Lomond, and then I'm not going to shoot this today, but then we've got the 18-year-old, right? So I think they're just a great idea if you're looking for a gift, something like that, phenomenal. So today we're going to talk, Loch Lomond here. We've got 3 releases. I just went through them with you, and so if you have anything here, or if not, any Scotch that's 46 natural and non-chill filtered, because these beauties all are. Pour something, come on back. 3, 4. Well, thanks for coming back. As I said, we're going to walk through this gift pack. It had all 3 of these. We've got the 12-year-old, the Madeira finish, and the 18. I'm only going to talk about 2. I'm going to come back. I've got a couple other 18s, and it's kind of nice to compare with other 18s. But here I think you get a really good idea of the Inchmurrin non-peated Loch Lomond. So this here is the 12-year-old. I'm going to start with the 12-year-old. Even though, this non-age stamp Madeira might have, younger spirit because it's non-age stamp, I wanted to start with the 12 because this is a very affordable dram. It's an integrity, 46% natural color, non-chill. And I think it really gives an insight into the core of Loch Lomond 12, like their line. I think this kind of goes what they're going for. Oh, I should say a little bit about the casking, and even their stills. Loch Lomond talks a lot about having the classic swan neck pot still, but then they have a pot still with a straight neck and some plates, and that's a little different certainly in Scotland. I feel like I've seen some of those in small craft distilleries around here, but I'm not at that scale. I haven't been to their distillery, so it is differently distilled. The other thing is this will have 3 wood casks. I think it has ex-bourbon, has some refill casks, has some recharred casks in it. So we're 46%. We're out of Scotch. Let's see what this thing has in the nose. So it is sweet. There's orchard fruits right up front, but there's something already kind of going on. I recently watched, because I was trying to say, I've talked about Loch Lomond 12, and it's been not my favorite, but not a bad Scotch, but not as good as, there's several people over in the UK that really liked it, and I tuned into a few others to say, what are they getting that I'm not? And some comparisons were saying, is it like the Springbank affordable alternative, that kind of thing. Even Craigellachie has that fuel worm tub stuff going on. Is there something like that here? And there is a little bit of an industrial note in Loch Lomond that I think appeals to that. It's just a little bit, not darker maybe, but not just totally light, effervescent space addict. There's a little bit of some meatiness going on. Yeah. I'll go with that last comment. There's a little bit of meatiness in here. But it still has some of the other things. It's got some nice vanillas. It's got lots of nice fruits. Let's dive in and see what this is like on the palate. Sláinte. In the palate too, it's got some of that fruit that I mentioned, but now we've got vanilla biscuits, graham cracker. I'm trying to describe, it's got that maltiness, that core maltiness with a little bit more length in it, and a tiny bit of that dirty meatiness. I'm going to try another sip. Sláinte. And there the fruit went into a stone fruit. So I'm happy to say, for me, that's more of an apricot. I think I've had more dried apricots than fresh peaches. And fresh peaches are always sweeter for me, and it's not that kind of sweetness. I said unpeated, and I think it is unpeated, but If someone told me there was a couple of dollops of really little bit of peat in here, I could go, okay, because that earthy, darker quality is there. There's like just maybe a tiny bit of peat. And if not peat, it's got to be in their distillation process. Maybe they're going into the weightier tails and putting a little bit more of those phenols, that stuff in there, because it tastes a little bit of that. It tastes like it's got a little bit of peat. Maybe there's a little bit in there, just a little dollop of some peatiness. If not, it just is up to the way they're recharring their cask to get a bit more of that smoke and that oak. Or maybe it is where they're bringing their tails down in there and they're getting a little bit of that darker kind of fuel oil stuff going on. This is good, and for the price, I think it's really quite good, especially for someone who's a little bit like there's next round of Scotch. They understand what Scotch is and they're looking to taste some different flavors. And at 46% non-chill, it's worth it. It's a nice dram. Not my favorite, but it's really good. So I wanted to do a contrast to, I'm assuming distilled the same way, and I'm assuming some expert some refill. But then they're saying Madeira wood finish on this one. Again, it says right on here non-chill, and it's 46%. So I assume it's all the goodness that the other releases are. Doesn't have an age stamp though, so I have no idea the ages of this. I imagine it's slightly younger, or they'd say 12-year Madeira finish. And the contrast is immediately there. And this, like, even though I mentioned the fruits and apricots and whatnot, this immediately has some fortified wine on the nose. This has some kind of white grape, white wine. Yeah, and even more stone fruit. It's interesting. This has settled into that kind of that dusty, interesting. In fact, I should shoot what's left of this later, or just for myself, against Craigellachie, because it's given me a bit of those vibes. This has just now on the nose, in contrast, tons of that drier wine, but sweet wine. That's why I'm going with kind of a white wine. Interesting. Let's try it on the palate. Sancha? That's lighter across the palate. It has a little less body. It's, again, a little bit sweeter, brighter. A little more cinnamon, which is an interesting note. I didn't expect that, so I think I've got some cinnamon, and I've got some lighter fruity wine now. It's clean. Actually, it's very clean. The finish is a bit... I better do another sip before I get into the finish, but it feels like it's, boy, it kind of went through a little quicker. Let's try it again. Sancha. No, it's really nice. I think this actually would be more appealing to people who like lighter scotches. It actually has a little less darkness to it, a little less weird funk. It's kind of got just a lighter, brighter fruit bouquet around there. Really higher sugars, light, like more aromatic, a little bit more vanilla, a little more... Yeah, just that. And I think it would be like it's easier to drink. It would have a wide appeal. I think so. I wanted to come back to the 12-year-old just to give it a final kind of comparison, because I really feel I've seen this on the shelf. I see it on the shelf. It's often on a good offer. It's got a slightly different... I feel like it's red on it is. The big bottle is definitely red, not green. But I'm going to try this again, just the straight up 12-year-old on the palate, now that I've tried to clear my palate, but I've tasted the Madeira. So coming back to this, I'm getting a little bit more in the spice palate. I'm getting a little bit more ginger, like a ginger snap cookie, a little bit lighter pepper, and a little bit more savory. I could even add nutmeg in there. So I'm getting more spice profile. I tried to describe, it definitely feels a little bit more char and smoke wherever and however they're getting that. I'm getting that in here. And it drinks far more in that savory, even drier biscuit, like what did I used to clear my palate with? Anyways, this tastes a lot more like that, right? Like when you're enjoying a nice cracker, not because it has all these flavors or all these different things, it's because it's got some good grain and it's just nice, just tastes good. And that's kind of here with a little bit more spice palette. So it is quite different. And I am enjoying this more than I recall last time I had a bottle. Last time I felt on the long finish, it's kind of there. There's a bit of a bitter medicinal that I get in Loch Lomond. I don't see it in a lot of other channels, but it kind of falls down a bit here, and then it feels a little bit, I don't know, not medicinal. Did I say medicinal? I meant mechanical, like a little bit mechanical bitter, that I think those kind of funky, like whether it's worm tub or whatever, where they're trying to get those heavier, meatier, end of the run. Maybe that's what I'm getting. I'm not sure. Up front though, it's good. It's got just tons of character. It really does. This is not a forgettable whiskey. I think you'll like it or not like it. And I do recommend getting it for the kind of price you can these days, and for, you know, that integrity release. If you like sweeter scotches, this is much more approachable that way. It doesn't hug as much, doesn't burn as much. I know it's NAS, so I expected some of that. This went down almost like sweeter water. It's still a 46% Scotch, but it really went down pretty quick. Thanks for tuning in here. I know many out there really love Loch Lomond, and I'm sure you're gonna tell me I did a disservice, and that's okay, but tell me why. What do you like about this more, and why do you like it? I really appreciate the conversation. And as I said, gift packs, they're a winner for this Christmas season.